Imagine a world reshaped not by armies, not by empires, not by weapons of destruction, but by a single mind. A mind that questioned everything, saw what others could not, and turned the universe upside down with a single equation. Albert Einstein, the man whose wild hair became a symbol of genius, changed the course of history without ever lifting a weapon. From the ticking of clocks to the bending of spacetime, from the secrets of atoms to the vastness of the cosmos, his ideas continue to touch every corner of our lives. This is the story of a thinker whose imagination became more powerful than armies, whose curiosity became a revolution, and whose conscience challenged humanity to rise above its darkest impulses. In a quiet Swiss patent office in 1905, a young man with untamed hair and a restless mind changed the way humanity sees the universe. Albert Einstein, a clerk with no academic platform, was quietly rewriting the rules of reality. On ordinary-looking sheets of paper, he laid the foundations of a revolution that would outlast empires, outlast wars, and outlast his own life. His weapon was not a gun, not a bomb, not a throne, but a mind that refused to obey conventional limits. Born in 1879 in Ulm, Germany, Einstein was a curious child who saw the world differently from his peers. He would sit for hours pondering questions most adults never considered. What would it be like to ride alongside a beam of light? How does time flow? What is gravity, really? Early teachers found him slow, rebellious, and distracted. Yet that distraction was the crucible of genius. While others memorized facts, Einstein asked questions that would ultimately rewrite physics. By the turn of the 20th century, the world of science was at a crossroads. Newtonian physics, dominant for over 2 centuries, explained motion, forces, and gravity with extraordinary precision, but cracks were appearing. Light behaved in ways that defied classical understanding. Heat, energy, and atomic behavior hinted at a deeper reality. Into this unsettled landscape stepped Einstein, with his papers on the photoelectric effect, Brownian motion, and most famously, special relativity. Special relativity was simple in appearance, but radical in consequence. The speed of light is constant for all observers. Time is not absolute, and mass and energy are equivalent. E equals mc, the world's most famous equation, condensed an entire universe into a formula no bigger than a pencil stroke. Time could dilate, lengths could contract, energy and matter could convert into one another. The universe, once thought solid and predictable, was revealed as a dynamic, interconnected tapestry. Einstein's ideas were not just equations, they were a rebellion against accepted truth. He asked readers to imagine themselves riding light waves, to question what simultaneous really meant, to see reality as a fabric stretching and curving under unseen forces. He was a magician without a wand, conjuring new visions of the cosmos from thought experiments and chalkboard scribbles. And the world slowly noticed. While the patent office might have seemed mundane, it provided the solitude and freedom Einstein needed to think radically. There were no distractions of prestige, no academic pressures to conform. Instead, he had time, curiosity, and the courage to see differently, a combination far more powerful than any conventional weapon. Einstein's rise was not meteoric, but it was relentless. By the time the first hints of his fame appeared, he had already transformed our understanding of reality. Light, time, energy, and matter were no longer the same. And as he looked outward to the heavens, he began asking questions that would challenge not just physics, but the very moral compass of humanity. As Einstein's reputation grew, so too did the scale of his ambitions. Special relativity had redefined motion, time, and energy, but questions still gnawed at him. Gravity, the force that binds the planets, keeps the moon tethered to Earth, and gives weight to our bodies, was still a mystery. Newton had described it as a force pulling objects together across space. But Einstein suspected there was more to the story. In 1915, after years of intense struggle, failures, and revisions, Einstein unveiled what would become his crowning achievement, the general theory of relativity. Unlike Newton, who imagined gravity as an invisible hand reaching across the void, Einstein revealed that gravity was not a force at all, but a property of spacetime itself. Massive objects like stars and planets warped it, bending the fabric of reality around them. Planets orbited stars not because they were pulled by some mysterious force, but because they followed the curves of a warped spacetime. Proof came in 1919, during a solar eclipse. Astronomers observed the light of distant stars bending around the sun, exactly as Einstein predicted. Overnight, he became a global sensation. Headlines declared him a genius who had overturned Newton himself. Crowds packed lecture halls to hear him speak. Photographers captured his wild hair and mischievous grin, the very image of a modern sage. Yet fame did not intoxicate him. Einstein saw celebrity as a tool, a voice to advocate for truth and humanity. Unlike many intellectuals, he did not retreat into ivory towers. He spoke against nationalism, militarism, and prejudice. Nationalism is an infantile disease, he said. It is the measles of mankind. The irony was stark. While Einstein preached peace, his discoveries hinted at unimaginable destructive power. E=mc suggested that even a tiny amount of matter could release enormous energy that, in the wrong hands, could devastate cities. Einstein recoiled from the thought, yet history would soon test the consequences of his theory. In the 1930s, as Hitler rose to power, Einstein fled Germany. He witnessed his homeland fall under tyranny, anti-Semitism, and war, and took refuge in Princeton, United States. Though safe, he bore witness to Europe's suffering. He continued to refine his theories, seeking a unified vision of the universe. But he could not escape the intersection of science and human conflict. Einstein's life became a story of paradox, a man devoted to peace whose ideas contained the power for unimaginable destruction. Yet he never wavered in advocating for justice, compassion, and truth. By the late 1930s, the world teetered on the brink again. Hitler's armies advanced, and Einstein, now in America, watched with alarm. Scientific discoveries, particularly nuclear fission in 1938, hinted that the power embedded in E=mc could become reality. A bomb could unleash energy far beyond imagination. Einstein's role became indirect, yet historically significant. Persuaded by Lee Szilard, he signed a letter to President Roosevelt in 1939, warning of Nazi Germany's potential to build an atomic bomb. This letter helped catalyze the Manhattan Project. Ironically, Einstein himself was deemed a security risk and never worked on the project. His theory laid the groundwork. His hand never touched the weapon. When Hiroshima and Nagasaki were destroyed in 1945, Einstein was horrified. He had warned, he had hoped, yet the bomb had been unleashed. He spent the rest of his life advocating for disarmament, moral responsibility, and international cooperation. The unleashed power of the atom, he said, has changed everything save our modes of thinking. Einstein also fought broader injustices. He denounced racism in the United States, colonialism abroad, and tyranny anywhere. His life remained paradoxical. A man who enabled the ultimate weapon while advocating for peace, whose fame made him a symbol of genius, yet whose conscience defined his true legacy. After World War II, Einstein focused on morality, ethics, and the cosmic puzzles that still fascinated him. At Princeton, he pursued the elusive unified field theory, a grand vision linking all forces of nature. Though incomplete, his pursuit inspired generations of scientists. Einstein's influence was everywhere. Relativity-guided satellites, quantum mechanics, which he helped shape, underpinned modern electronics and computing. Culturally, he became a symbol of intellect and curiosity. The world saw him as the archetype of genius, yet personally he remained humble, playful, and deeply human. In his final years, Einstein signed the Russell-Einstein Manifesto, warning humanity of nuclear catastrophe and urging peace. When he died in 1955, he left unfinished work, a universe transformed and a moral example that outshone fame, wealth, or power. His life was proof that intellect, applied with conscience, could change the course of history. Einstein's philosophy emphasized imagination, curiosity, and ethical responsibility. Imagination is more important than knowledge, he said, and he lived it. He rejected dogma, seeing God not as a personal deity, but in the harmony and laws of the universe. He valued education that fostered curiosity, not rote memorization, and believed that science without conscience is dangerous. Einstein's life exemplified humility, humanity, and moral courage. He reminded us that intellectual power carries responsibility, that thinking differently can change the world without force, and that imagination is the true revolutionary force. Einstein changed the world without lifting a weapon. His theories reshaped reality, his conscience reshaped morality, and his curiosity reshaped human possibility. He showed that intellect, imagination, and ethical courage are the greatest tools for transformation. The paradox of his life: the same ideas enabling creation and destruction, remains a lesson for the modern age. Knowledge alone is insufficient. Wisdom and humanity must guide it. As we face technological, social, and environmental challenges, Einstein's message is clear: think boldly, act ethically, and never stop questioning. His legacy is not only in science, but in demonstrating the power of ideas over violence. He left humanity a challenge to use knowledge responsibly, to let imagination guide ethics, and to change the world not with weapons, but with thought. Albert Einstein changed the world without lifting a weapon, and he showed us that the human mind, when guided by curiosity and conscience, is the most revolutionary force in history. Albert Einstein changed the world without ever lifting a weapon. His ideas still shape our technology, our understanding of the universe, and the way we think about humanity itself. If you enjoyed exploring his genius and legacy, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more amazing history stories that will blow your mind. Don't miss out. Join us on this journey through the past that still shapes our future.